Welcome back to the Property Management Software as a Service demo. So maybe just a walkthrough into the Property Managers portal. So we have the dashboard where they're able to see the properties, the total units, the active leases, the pending maintenance, the tenants, the monthly revenue. I'm currently using the Kenya shilling because I'm currently in Kenya. So yeah, basically this is the dashboard, and from the dashboard they're able to do some quick actions. Now, but before then, maybe I can just walk you through before we reach here. So I'll just log out. So now, where do we start from here? Now, the first thing is, let's say one of your users, you as a system owner, you as a system admin, has seen this beautiful system and has said that I want to join. So the first place they're going to refer them is to, for them to order, or they've come across it online. So the first place they'll do is to request for tenant registration. So yeah, so this is where they fill in their details, maybe the organization name. Let's say for my case, my organization name, I'll just name it, in my case, just Acme Properties, as it is there. Acme Properties. And the first name is Acme. Then the last name I'll just do as Properties. Yeah, not a fancy name here. So, but for the email, now this is the email that maybe the system owner or the system admin will use to contact you. So for this, maybe I can just do acme@mail.com, and then the phone number that they're going to be contacted. So this is my phone number. So in case you want to contact me, this is my phone number or my WhatsApp number. So the password is, we can just start small, 1 2 3 4 5 6. And then the request is just the system is great, and I need it for my properties. Okay, and then submit. Now that's a request to start using the system. So I can just save here. So back to login. So now me as a system owner, the first thing that I'll do once I log into the system is that this is now the system admin bit of that particular system. So in the system admin, it's not that busy as the property manager portal. So we have to, so from here, you're able to see the number of tenants that you have. Currently have two active, so two tenants, one who is active, two are pending requests, including the one that we just requested. And then now from here, I'm able to do some bit of action. So for us, we'll just go to manage tenants. Let's say one of the property manager or maybe one of the tenants, maybe just to briefly explain, tenant here doesn't mean the one that is staying in the house or the one that has that you've rented the house. No, tenant here, for those of us who are software engineers or software admin, or software developers, we have an architecture called the tenant management, multi-tenant kind of an architecture. So the whole system is a multi-tenant system whereby each and every tenant manages their own data. And how we've done it, we've done the data segregation on the schema level, meaning that every tenant in this particular organization have their own databases and manage their data. So at no particular point will these tenants or other organizations manage or have access to different kind of other organizations' data. So it is a unique way, and it's a great way, more so when you want to have a lot of tenants or when you want scalability. So that is how we do so. And essentially we've segregated this on the schema level. So for the system admins, they don't have a lot of work because we've automated everything. So now back to where we were. We've requested to join the system. So me as a system admin, I'll just come here. I see I have two requests. We have an Acme Properties and I have the test organizations. So now I'll just come here, maybe just see. So this is the name. So if maybe I wanted to contact them, maybe this is where maybe my team will contact you. We saw that you want to join the system. Maybe will you want us to talk? Yeah, and things like that. So the reason and then the criteria, and then now from here I'm able to approve or reject. So in this case, maybe I can just reject the John Doe, and maybe tell John Doe that maybe John Doe should find a name, find yourself, or we can maybe ask John Doe, what's your name? What's your name? That's the reason of rejection. And then yeah, so we've rejected that one, and that one is rejected. So the one that we've created here, we can, since ours looks good, we can now approve. Now, maybe on the technical side, what will happen here, when we click approve, the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to create a schema for this tenant. Now, the next thing is that we're going to migrate all the necessary data tables to this schema. And the next thing that we're also going that it's going to happen here is that we're also going to create an admin for this particular organization. So let's just approve, fingers crossed, and that worked. So now when we now go to the tenant management here, we can see that the Acme Properties has been verified by our team. Maybe we've also had a talk with them, and they've now been admitted to the system. So now this means that Acme Properties, they are able to log into the system with their system admin credentials that they had requested to be logged into. Now that is one way if you have a request. Another way to admit tenants to this system is through the system admin. A system admin, maybe you've gotten a call and maybe you want to admit a tenant. So we have a create tenant here, which is actually very simple compared to the other one. So for this, where you can just do just the normal thing, and then you also add the administrator user. And the administrator user here is this is not the system admin. It is the administrator of the property portal So I'll not create, but this is working. But maybe for sanity, we can just create. We can actually create a BPay organization. Then AbiPay, we can have AbiPay one. We can have Abi. Then here we can have pay, and then we can have abipay at mail.com. Then the password 123456. So we can just create tenant and admin. Yeah, so that's work. So abipay has also been created. So we can see here, and the schema in the database level that is the schema now. So another feature that we can also do is to suspend now. But before we suspend, I want us to try to log in to our Acme Properties. So hopefully you guys can remember the password. So it was Acme. Yeah, it's here. So this is where we were. So you can see the URL here. So you can just try to sign in. It was successful, and then I can see I have Acme Properties here. So I can just log into this system. Cool, and that's cool. So now now from here you can now see that Acme doesn't have any properties. The Acme Properties doesn't have any properties, units 0000. Now let's say for some reason, me as system admin, I want to restrict Acme from accessing the system. So I'll just come here and I'll just suspend. Maybe doesn't English look good, and I'll just confirm. And then now if I now go to Acme, try to sign in again, it will refuse because nothing, because they've been suspended. So let me just come and enable Acme here. So, and then now come back here, try to log in, it will now accept. And then something else which is interesting here is that in Acme properties, sorry, for the Acme, for that particular admin, or for the user that is currently logging in admin into this Acme properties, they only have access to one organizations, but they can also have access to other organizations depending on which organization has added them. What do I mean? So if I come to Acme here, come to the settings here, maybe you come to users, you can see that the current logged in user is Acme. Let's say I want to add another user who is called Ken. But remember, in our case here, Ken also has access. Maybe let me actually log out to this. So now I have another user here called Ken from Ken organization. So yeah, this is Ken from Ken organization. So let's say among the users here, I also want to add Acme to be the admin, or rather, let's say one user manages or has access to different kind of to different properties, or rather to different organizations. So I'll just come here. I'll just like now this is Ken organization. So I'll just add Acme, and then add the password 1 2 3 4. What's it? 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then the name is Acme, and then maybe properties. So remember, this is the user from Acme properties, which is an organization. Now we're adding him to the Ken. So let's create this user. So the user has been created. So now remember, this is the Ken organization. So let's go back to our organization. So we can just log out. Now come back to here. So now when I sign in, something interesting, you'll see something interesting here. That now Acme, this user, has access to two organizations. So they are able to access Acme properties, which, as you can see, it doesn't have another thing. It doesn't have anything. But at the same time, they are able to switch organization here and access Ken organization, which has properties. So essentially, this is a clean way, or this is a very good way when maybe when in scenarios a user might have access to different organizations, depending on maybe how they know the two organizations, or the number of organizations that they have access to. So this is not limited to the number. So yeah, so let's go back to Acme properties. Something else on the admin side. Do we have anything else? No, this is the system admin side. So this is all on the admin side. Tenant request, we have all the tenants, just basic functionalities here. So now let's go now to the property manager, to the Acme properties. Now this is the dashboard which I had taken you through some time earlier. Now we'll start with the properties. So for properties, we have this tab here. Now properties, these are the properties that you want to manage, or maybe apartments that you want to manage, and you can have multiple properties. So we'll just try that a property. So property here, I'll just do maybe TNB apartments. The address, currently Nairobi, Embakasi, and then now the description of the property, and maybe you can also add more information, or we can add more details here depending on the request and your need. So for this, we'll just maybe a short description. It's in Nairobi, Kenya, but this is optional. Then create. So it's creating a property. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it works. Yeah, and it worked. So we have this TNB apartment property. So we can view. You can click it to view the details, and then from here you're able to see all the information, the property information, the total number of units, the occupied, the available, the monthly revenue, and all this. And then we have the statistics, total number of units, occupy rate. Ideally, all this information are here. So now, the property, this is the whole building now. Inside the building, inside the property, we have what you call units. So let's add a unit. But before then, you can also maybe do some basic edit to it, and yeah, basically all the crude operation that can be done, you can do them here. So let's add a unit. So unit number A3, we can also, the floor number, this is the floor number 1. The type of unit, maybe it's a penthouse, 4-bedroom. Anyway, I did restrict this to this basically because of what we have around from the place that I live. But this is things that we can also edit and also make arrangements on. So for here, this is a 2-bedroom. The status, is it occupied? Is it available? And then the number of bedrooms is 3. The bathroom maybe is 1, 3. Essentially, these are not required field, but you can just fill them. Now, this is where I'd like us to keep track on. Now, the rent amount, this is the rent amount for this particular unit. So remember, a property can have different floors, and in those floors, they have units. So let's say an apartment can have, like 16 units, and then inside those units, they all have different prices depending on maybe the floor, maybe is it a penthouse, so they'll all have the different prices. So for this, the rent amount here, I want to have it as 25,000. That is the Kenyan shilling, and then the deposit amount. And the deposit amount in this case, this is the amount that you are required to as a deposit. In Kenya, we usually have this basically to protect when you are going out of the house or when you're moving out of the house. If there is any repair that need to be done, this is the month that will be used. So the amount is usually the same as 1 month's rent. Then the last time it was renovated, we can just pick a date. The feature, it's a master en suite, it's a modern kitchen, spacious living room. Description, it's a beautiful house. Furnished, has balcony, has a parking. Then we create a unit, and then boom. So we have a unit for TNB apartments. So if so now as you can see, things have changed here. So we have units 1, and then we have 1 available. So and when you scroll down here now under the property details, you can see we have the 1 unit, 2-bedroom available. You can now view, and it's actually vacant. So and these are all the information about this unit. So you can actually see it's linked to a property. You can go to the property. From property you can view. Yeah, it's just very interesting. And then now here's the financial details. So the rent amount and the deposit amount. Now from here, the next thing that we want to do is to add a tenant now. So now, but remember, this is now a different tenant. Okay. Now, a tenant in the property manager here is different from a tenant in the system admin. A tenant in the system admin is the organization. Now, a tenant in the property manager these are people who live in those apartments, or rather these are people who rent. I myself am a tenant in the apartment that I live. Hopefully that is clear. Now, here we have now the tenants. So I'll just add a tenant here. I'll just add myself here. So my name is Ken. We can just leave that. Alternative number, just put my number. Remember guys, this is my number. You can reach out to me in case you need the system. 254. The date of birth, you can just pick any. The gender, male. Nationality, I'm Kenyan. The number of ID, we can just guess. These are, for those of us, okay, this is not my ID number. So, and then the national ID, current location, this is my current location. Occupation details, so you can just believe employer, I can just employer phone number, employer, no, monthly income, no. These are details that you can fill, but maybe I want us to fill employer. We are just testing employer phone number, my number again, maybe monthly salary, maybe you can have 10,000. Contact, emergency contact, you can have an emergency contact here. You can have test contact, test, my number still, relationship, maybe you can do a wife for those of us who are married. Then moving date, we can just speculate. Maybe I'll be moving in 26th. Status active. And then here, now this is the property manager who is adding a tenant. Let's say the notes are the tenant agreed. The tenant will come back next week and make some payments, and then you create a tenant. Cool. So now we have a property, we have a unit, and now we have a tenant. So the next thing that we want to do is to create a lease, to create a lease. Now it's a contract for this tenant, or rather it's now to lease this tenant to the unit. So I'll just come here. Now when you create a lease here, you'll the number of available tenants here, they'll appear here. You can actually search Kenneth. If I search Kenneth, it will appear here as Kenneth. The unit also, the unit that is available, and the unit number and the apartment. The start date, maybe I can just start date. The end date, maybe just, but this is not required here. Now the rent amount here, this is not editable since it's already said, it's already preset there. The deposit amount is not editable. The monthly, the payment frequency, it's monthly. The payment due date, maybe you can have it as 5. The currency, I'm currently using Kenya shilling, and then the status is active. So the terms of condition, agreed. Maybe they'll have a document to sign and then agreed. So in this case here, maybe perhaps later on we'll add an upload, a document upload. So we can just save, fingers crossed. Now we have a tenant and we have a lease. So this is the lease number. If we go to the view here, we are now able to see the full picture of this lease. So we have the lease number, start date, the payment frequency, payment due, renewal notice 30 days, the financial details here, everything. Now the tenant information that this lease is linked to, Kenneth here, Kenneth Irongo. You can click there and then you can see, but I want us to come back there in a few. Then the unit here, this is the unit, you can click. Everything is just clickable, it's just swift. The property here, you can click, it's clickable. And then the terms and agreement here, let's say this was a long list. You can also see them here. And you can also do a bit of edit on this list, which is, I think it's something that we should think if we need to allow them to edit. I think this should not be editable. Now, from there, now I want us now to go to the tenant here and now do a detailed view on them. So remember the tenant that we created, the account balance was 0, but now the account balance is 50,000. And why 50,000, you'll ask? Remember, if we go to, now this is the overview here. These are the details of the tenant. If we go to the account transaction here, something interesting is happening here. So we can see that we have 2 debits. The first debit is the first month rent, and the second debit is the security deposit, which is 25. Remember I told you how it happens in Kenya is that you pay a rent deposit of 50,000. You pay a rent deposit and you also pay the first rent of that particular month. But okay, of course, this is adjustable in terms of the requirement or in terms of the country that you are. So so for this case, we charge the deposit. Let's say maybe in your country or rather in your apartment, the rent deposit is 0. So this will be 0. But in this case, we put 25 Kenya shilling as the rent amount and 25 Kenya shilling as the deposit amount. So the amount due for this tenant is 50,000 Kenya shilling. And we can also see we have tabs here, account transactions. We have leases here where you can now see the lease. We have the maintenance, which will also come later. We have the payments. Now, let's say this tenant paid, and at the moment I have not integrated M-Pesa. It will come soon. So let's now say that this tenant has paid. So what I'll do is I'll come here, and already some of the detail here are pre-filled. So the house unit number, you can see the detail here, they're already here. The rent, maybe let's say it's cash, it's a deposit, it's rent, let's say it's rent. And then the amount here, this is the amount he has paid. Then maybe let's say they are cash, it's cash. So the payment date is today, receive date is today. Transaction reference is maybe TX, and then our description, rent, maybe first rent. Okay, or we can do rent payments, and then we can do maybe a note. So they've paid. So this we are making a record payment of 25 Kenya shilling. So nice. Now immediately we make that payment, you can see that the account balance has been updated and it's now 25. So this particular tenant now has a balance of 25 shillings. So let's now go to the accounts and transactions table here. You will see that we've credited the account of this has been credited, and they are paid, and then the amount owed is 25 Kenya shilling. Now, and then payments here, we'll also see the payment. You can actually see this payment. I don't remember this. Yeah, it's actually clickable. Yeah, it's a really nice system. So, and then now back to Ken here. Let's say this tenant has not paid the full. Let's say this tenant he doesn't remember that he has an account. Sorry, he doesn't have let's say by some instance he has just forgotten that he needed to pay. What you do, you create an invoice for this tenant. So I'll just come here, I'll just select a tenant, Kenya shilling, house unit. The current arrears is 25 Kenya shilling, and then the invoice type is it's deposit. They paid rent, but they never paid the deposit. So the amount is already pre-filled here. And then the due date, it was actually due yesterday. It was due even today. So description here, I'll tell them, please pay for your rent. And then please pay. Now, something interesting will happen here. We'll send this invoice to WhatsApp. So remember, I already had the number of this tenant when we were registering them. So if I create an invoice here, that invoice has been sent. Sorry, this is an invoice that I've created, and I can now view it here. If I click view here, I can view the details of this particular invoice, and I can also view the invoice and how it's looking like. Maybe you can download it if you want and everything, but I need to send it to WhatsApp. It's just a click in the button. You just click, and then we put the phone number, and then you just send. If you send, I've integrated the system with API, with WhatsApp API, and as you can hear, I've already received the text message. So if we go to WhatsApp here, my WhatsApp, we can see, okay, let me just search. Let me just do that. So we can see that already here we have an invoice. I've already received an invoice. This has just come right now, 2126. So of Hello Kennedy Rungu, your invoice for unit, it's this, and then the amount and the due date. Please make payment by the due date to avoid late fee. Now, this tenant has already received the invoice. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to now the tenant has seen that, so, and maybe they've sent the money, so I'll just come here and I'll add the payment here. I'll add a record maybe of another 25 shilling. This was M-Pesa number, transaction fee, it was that, rent, and then paid. So if I record the payment, boom, it has paid, and then the account now is green and no balance at all. So essentially that's how we are also managing finances and payments in this. Something else that we can also do, we have the maintenance. Let's say I have a maintenance request. We can create a maintenance request. I can see still loading here, still loading. Well, I don't know why it's still loading. Okay, still loading. All right. I'm not sure. Maybe it's my internet. Let's give it a let's just wait a moment. Property. Let's go to the dashboard. Still loading. Okay, I think it has loaded, so it's okay. So okay, now let's say tenant Kenneth has a maintenance request. So what do? We just come here, house number, category, maybe it's a plumbing, the title, maybe it's plumbing, the title, what are some of the issues? Maybe water leakage, description, water is leaking, water is leaking, sorry for the spelling, water is leaking in the bathroom. The priority is high, and then the scheduled date for maintenance, maybe you can just say tomorrow. Estimated cost for this, maybe it's just 5,000 Kenya shilling. The currency is Kenya shilling. The cost of ownership now, something interesting here. In the apartment, we have maintenance request that the owner can bear, the tenant can bear fully, or shared. Now, for this case, let's say this is a shared. No, let's say this is a shared. A shared request. Assigned to, maybe we can have a plumber Kenny. Let's say we also have a plumber Kenny. So now, if it's a shared responsibility, now you'll have to divide this into two. We have the owner's portion and the tenant's portion. So it was 5,000 Kenya shillings. So the owner's portion will be 3,000, let's say, because, and then the tenant portion, let's 2,000. So the tenant portion here, this means that the tenant Kenneth here, the owner of this TNB here, will pay for that. Will pay this amount. So assigned to, it's Kenneth. So assigned to contact, and then we can have a test. Maybe notes. Notes here, we'll just do some bit of notes. This will be done tomorrow. Create a request. Now remember, that's a shared request. So now if it's a shared request here, if we go, remember our tenant Kenneth didn't have any balance, any maintenance balance, remember. But if you now come to the maintenance, you can see already there's a maintenance that is attached to Kenneth. So if we view, this maintenance will be taken here. Now, and now this is the maintenance detail view. It has everything, the cost, the actual cost, and then the shared. Now, if we go back to the maintenance now, remember this is still depending. Remember, if we now update the status of this maintenance, update request, and update the status to started on here, and then completed on 10th. I want you to watch something. If we now do to completed, if you update the status of this to completed, the actual amount was 5,000. Then if we update the status here, we expect that since Canada was to pay 2,000, they should be debited with 2,000. So you come here. Yes, so now account balance is negative, is 2,000. So they have a balance of 2,000. So if you come to the maintenance, if you come to the account here, you can see that a new maintenance leakage debit of 2,000 has been debited, and now they own this. They own the landlord 2,000. So same thing here. Maybe you can come. Maybe you create a show overdue. If you come show overdue, you can also do some bit of filters. And all these places have filters. So I can also do something else here, something interesting here. Remember, I had created this invoice. I think that was done. Remember, let's say I have a lot of tenants. Let's say like I have a lot of 100 tenants here. I don't want to go and create one by one. So what I can do, I can just come generate bulk invoices. So I'll just select the month, let's say the month of December, and then the property. Let's say I have a lot of properties. I can just select TNB, and then send via automatically. Skip zero amount invoices. Yeah, sure. Let's say there are those that have already paid. So skip those. So skip those and just generate. So automatically I should get so generated one, and I've also gotten an SMS here. So let's say sorry, I've also gotten an SMS here that your invoice number here. So I have an invoice here for December. So that is how interesting this system is. So, and then now we have expenses. Other expenses still work the same as the maintenance invoices. This is the invoice that has been generated. You can see, yeah, and so many things that happen here. So we can also resend this via WhatsApp. So what I've done to receive those notification on WhatsApp, I've integrated this with WhatsApp API. So essentially that's it. And you can have different a number of properties to manage, unlimited units, unlimited tenants, unlimited leases, and all those stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you'll reach out to me. So my email is Kenneth Irungu 1800 and I'll leave my email on this video. Cheers, and see you on the comments section. Yeah.